they're changing my voice. Okay, remember that they are changing my voice. And this is actually Sunday. That church is in session right now. I'm on 4th Street in downtown Morgan Hill. Okay, so let's talk about Psalm 17. A prayer of David. Now, if I can, I'll go all the way through Psalm 21. Some of these chapters are short. The emphasis here is on Psalm 18. Hear me, Lord, my plea is just. Listen to my cry, hear my prayer. It does not rise from deceitful lips. Let my vindication come from you. May your eyes see what is right. Though you probe my heart, though you examine me at night and test me, you will find that I have planned no evil. My mouth has not transgressed. Though people tried to bribe me, I have kept myself from the ways of the violent through what your lips have commanded. My steps have held to your paths, my feet have not stumbled. I call on you, my God, for you will answer me. Turn your ear to me and hear my prayer. Show me the wonders of your great love, you who save by your right hand, those who take refuge in you from their foes. Keep me as the apple of your eye, hide me in the shadow of your wings, from the wicked who are out to destroy me, from my mortal enemies who surround me. They close up their callous hearts, and their mouths speak with arrogance. They have tracked me down, they now surround me, with the eyes alert to throw me to the ground. They are like a lion hungry for prey, like a fierce lion crouching in cover. Rise up, Lord, confront them, bring them down. With your sword rescue me from the wicked. By your hand save me from such people, Lord, from those of this world whose reward is in this life. May what you have stored up for the wicked fill their bellies. May their children gorge themselves on it. And may there be leftovers for their little ones. As for me, I will be vindicated and will see your face. When I awake, I'll be satisfied with seeing your likeness. So notice that Psalm 17, which ends there, is about wanting vindication from God. David is summoning the warrior spirit of God. He's praying to God. He's hoping that God will assist him. And since he's David and it's his destiny, he's in the divine order, either as king or on the way to be king. Psalm 18 of David, servant of the Lord. He sang to the Lord the words of this song when the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies, and from the hand of Saul. He said, I love you, Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. I called to the Lord who is worthy of praise, and I've been saved from my enemies. The cords of death entangled me. The torrents of destruction overwhelmed. Okay, I'm going to turn the page here. It might get a little loud here. The mics, bear with me. Okay, overwhelmed me. The cords of the grave coiled around me. The snares of death confronted me. In my distress I called to the Lord. I cried to my God for help. From his temple he heard my voice. My cry came before him, into his ears. The earth trembled and quaked, and the foundation of the mountains shook. They trembled because he was angry. Smoke rose from his nostrils, consuming fire came from his mouth. Burning coals blazed out of it. He parted the heavens and came down. Dark clouds were under his feet. He mounted the cherubim and flew. He soared on the wings of the wind. So there's a lot of connections here. Notice it says God soared on the wings of the wind. And we see that the wind, right, in Greek, the word for wind is the same as the word for spirit. So the wings of the angels, for example, stand for someone who's in the Spirit of God, traversing the realms, moving in the Spirit of God, gliding, flying, diving, right? The word diving is like the word divine. Diving in the Spirit of God. The wings, the various ways that one would travel figuratively and spiritually speaking. Okay. So again, it's saying God soared on the wings of the wind. His Spirit traversed, His Spirit moved. He made darkness His covering, His canopy around Him, the dark rain clouds of the sky. Out of the brightness of His presence, clouds advanced with hailstones and bolts of lightning. And this is alluding to Revelation and vice versa. It connects to it, where you see the last seal, the last bowl, the last trumpet. Okay, there's hailstones, there's bolts of lightning, things like this occur. The Lord thundered from heaven, the voice of the Most High resounded. He shot His arrows and scattered the enemy. With great bolts of lightning, He routed them. Notice the word used here is routed. Okay, just like when people cheat me on my right to lead, they rebel against God, they're being routed naturally. They don't have the heart to obey God through me. Okay, which would include admitting that I'm the top martial artist ever, Christ. And by default, they go down a path of deep disgrace. If they obey God through me, they would have to concede that I'm Christ and that I'm above Him, which is not a big deal, but it shows a form of victory either way. And they choose to be defeated in a more disturbing way by refusing to do what's right, by refusing to concede my obvious truths. The alleys of the sea were exposed, and the foundations of the earth laid bare at your rebuke, Lord, at the blast of your nostrils. He reached down from on high and took hold of me. He drew me out of deep waters. He rescued me from the powerful enemy, from my foes who were too strong for me. They confronted me in the day of my disaster, but the Lord was my support. He brought me out into a spacious place. He rescued me because He delighted in me. The Lord has dealt with me according to my righteousness. According to the cleanness of my hands, He has rewarded me. So God has rewarded me according to my righteousness, my purity, the cleanness of my hands. Instead of accepting the mark of the beast on my hands, it's the mark of the purity of a servant of God. For I have kept the ways of the Lord. I am not guilty of turning from my God. All His laws are before me. I have not turned away from His decrees. I have been blameless before Him and have kept myself from sin. The Lord has rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in His sight. Again, it highlights that God rewarded David. He rewarded me as well, according to the cleanness of my hands in reality and truth in His sight. And God sees everything. It also, in this chapter, it talks about the clouds, right? Christ returning on a cloud. So it alludes to Christ saying, I am, and you'll see me at the right hand of the mighty one coming on the clouds of heaven. It alludes to the clouds that Christ returns on in Revelation. It's talked about in Revelation 1 and Revelation 19. To the faithful you show yourself faithful, to the blameless you show yourself blameless, to the pure you show yourself pure, but to the devious you show yourself shrewd. So those who think that they're right with God but they aren't, who are devious, they find themselves in the realm of the dead, as God shows Himself shrewd to the devious. But He's faithful to the faithful, and they actually achieve heaven, where the wicked come into a state of illusion. And the word illusion starts with the word El for a reason. You save the humble and bring low those whose eyes are haughty. You, Lord, keep my lamp burning. My God turns my darkness into light. With your help, I can advance against a troop. With my God, I can scale a wall. Notice he specifically cites advancing against a troop, right? Martial combat. He specifically cites martial combat. And even if you were to argue this part is completely figurative, and it doesn't have to do with actually going to war, hand-to-hand combat, what have you, okay, you would have to account for the fact that it's using going to war for a reason. Like the prostitute in Revelation, which is figurative. She's called a prostitute for a reason. Because sexual immorality and spiritual immorality are connected. You know, idolatry would have. Okay. So again, with your help I can advance against a troop. With my God I can scale a wall. As for God, His way is perfect. The Lord's word is flawless. He shields all who take refuge in Him. For who is God beside the Lord? And who is the rock except our God? It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He causes me to stand on the heights. He trains my hands for battle. My arms can bend a bow of bonds. Now, notice earlier I was talking about how God shot his arrows and scattered the enemy. So one application is clearly figurative and spiritual here. But again, they're using the argument of an actual bow for a reason. And its pinnacle hand-to-hand combat is obviously infinitely greater than being a great archer. That's just like a skill. But to get to the essence of mind, body, soul, and spirit, you'd have to spar or fight to the death, what have you. Okay. You make your saving help my shield, and your right hand sustains me. Your help has made me great. You provide a broad path for my feet so that my ankles do not give way. I pursued my enemies and overtook them. I did not turn back till they were destroyed. So notice he says that he pursued his enemies and overtook them. Just like God routed the enemies. So there's principles that are applied here. How does he rout the enemies? How does he overtake them? Well, in principle. In principle, right, it starts with the word prince. The prince of light versus the prince of darkness. The reality and the light and the truth versus the deceiver and the darkness and the chaos and the desolation. So I did not turn back till they were destroyed. That is their souls, their spirits. I crushed them so that they could not rise. They fell beneath my feet. Notice they fell beneath his feet. Right? In Psalms it says, sit at my right hand till I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. And in Isaiah it says, heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. So by them clinging to the earth instead of choosing to rise to the occasion and serve God, they were defeated. Defeated in principle, defeated in spirit. Spirit, the word spirit and spirit. And what happens when you spirit something? It dies. What happens when someone rebels against God? Their souls are dead. Like the body without the spirit is dead, faith without works is dead. The martial art argument without the spirit of God in its true form is dead, and they've already lost. The one that has the spirit of God must acknowledge that I am the top martial artist ever possible, Christ, and they must obey God through me to be alive. Okay. You armed me with strength for battle. You humbled my adversaries before me. You made my enemies turn their backs in flight, and I destroyed my foes. So when it came to my top martial arts challenge, they didn't accept it. So they turned their backs in flight. They were humbled, right? They don't know how to respond to my martial art arguments because I'm clearly right. So God, through me, has humbled the other arguments, the other philosophies, the other religions, the other paths. And it's clear that martial is marital, scrambled is in marriage for a reason, and I, Christ, am the bridegroom. They cried for help, but there was no one to save them to the Lord, but he did not answer. I beat them as fine as wind-blown dust. I trampled them like mud in the streets. You have delivered me from the attacks of the people. You have made me the head of nations. People I did not know now serve me. Foreigners cower before me. As soon as they hear of me, they obey me. Now, who, what, when, where, how, why? 189,000 people die every day, approximately. Okay? They obey me, right? They don't understand me. But yet, they're foreign to me. They're foreign to me. But yet, when they die, their souls and their spirits obey me. They all lose heart. They come trembling from their strongholds. The Lord lives. Praise be to my rock. Exalted be God, my Savior. He is the God who avenges me, who subdues nations under me. It started raining a little bit, so I'm going to start walking back here. So it says, he is the God who avenges me, who subdues nations under me. Again, how are they subdued in principle? Right? Their spirits are bound. Their spirits are imprisoned and snared in the earth. Okay, it goes on to say, who saves me from my enemies, you exalted me above my foes. From a violent man you rescued me. Therefore I will praise you, Lord. Among the nations I will sing the praises of your name. He gives his king great victories. He shows unfailing love to his anointed, to David and his descendants forever. So it says that he gives his king great victories. Okay, and you see I went on and on about battle, about spiritual warfare, about the different components which very much so have to do with martial arts warfare. It overlaps with martial art warfare. It's inseparable. The essence of spiritual warfare is the essence of martial warfare. That's why martial is marital scrambled. And I, Christ and the bridegroom. Okay, so now it goes to Psalm 19. Keep in mind that Psalm 18 ends with he gives his king great victories. He shows unfailing love to his anointed, to David and to his descendants forever. So as it carries over into Psalm 19, again, it's the Psalm of David. It says, the heavens declare the glory of God. Let's give it a second here. It says, the heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech. They use no words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voices go out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens God has pitched a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises as one end of the earth and makes a circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. God is great. The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure,